YouTube, today we're going to go over the team building process for the Shiftry Sun team. Let's get started and roll the episode. So why Shiftry? Shiftry is a Pokemon that has been widely requested for quite a while now, and I've been trying to make this Pokemon work, but I haven't been able to find a reason why to use it over a different Chlorophyll Pokemon because its stats aren't exactly amazing. However, I had this idea with Life Orb and Max Darkness to utilize it next to a potential Charizard and dish out a ton of damage, and decided to go off that as a basis. I also had a different Shiftry team in mind as well with a potential support set, which I do have still, but I decided in order to show it off for the first time on the channel, I wanted to show off Shiftry and how powerful it could be as a support Pokemon while dishing out a good amount of damage. So I decided to use this team which focuses on Shiftry Dynamaxing because I thought it would be more interesting. So how was the team formed? Well, it started off with the Shiftry, Groudon, and Charizard core. I really did like the idea of using Dynamax with Shiftry with the Max Darkness to power up the Charizard Heat Wave with the Choice Scarf, could catch some surprises, and Heat Wave from Solar Power Charizard in the Sun next to the Shiftry with the Max Darkness outspeed, and then the Heat Wave. Oh, it does so much damage, and I really did like idea, and that is where this team idea really came from. I also like the idea of having the Choice Banded Groudon next to Shiftry for speed control with Shiftry to fire off these big powerful Precipice Blades from Groudon, which is probably Groudon's best move if you can land the Precipice Blades, of course. The next Pokemon I decided to add was going to be Salamence, and I really do like Salamence a lot because I felt like the team overall did have a little bit of a tough time switching into Pokemon like Landispharian, which could be a little bit difficult. So I liked having the Salamence mode. Intimidate's really nice. A backup to opposing Charizards is really nice as well. And I really do like having Salamence on this team. I felt like it fulfilled a lot of roles with that Intimidate, and also could follow up some stuff as well with the Max Darkness from the Shiftry with strong Draco Meteor support. The next Pokemon I added was Hitmontop because I still felt like I was really weak to Salamence, especially since I planned on Dynamax using Shiftry or Salamence. I needed a Pokemon that could still do a lot of damage to Dynamax on the Landispharians without having to Dynamax, and I looked at Mamoswine. I wasn't a big fan of Weavile on this team, so I was really trying to figure out what I want to use because I didn't want the typings to overlap, and I thought Hitmontop, as I saw this video from Lord Envy, a singles creator, who used this technician Hitmontop with Triple Axle, and I felt like, oh, let me look at the calcs, and Triple Axle from Hitmontop does so much damage to Landorses. I'm actually able to knock out a lot of Landispharians, even the bulky ones, with Triple Axle after an Airstream from Salamence, even after an Intimidate. So I really liked the idea of it, and I felt like it was a pretty good match on this team. And then the last Pokemon I added was Tapu Koko. The reason I added Tapu Koko was for an electric typing, which I felt like was pretty nice in general because of the fact that the flying types would be immune to Precipice Blades, so I really did want a way to hit those flying types, and I felt like Tapu Koko was pretty solid. I chose Tapu Koko over Regieleki due to the fact that I do resist Urshifu's attacks, specifically Dark Urshifu, which I felt was a little bit scary because it hit a lot of my Pokemon for a massive amount of damage, so I thought having that resist was a little bit extra, and I really wanted a way to abuse the Max Darkness and not just rely on Charizard. Even though Salamence can rely on it, it's not a Pokemon I absolutely bring in every matchup. So I wanted another Pokemon that could potentially abuse it, and I felt like Tapu Koko was a pretty good fit, being able to resist Dark Urshifu's attacks and dish out still really strong electric type moves, and that is how the 6 was formed. All right, so let's go over the items, the movesets, and the EV spreads of the team. We have Choice Banded Groudon up first with the Precipice Blades, Fire Punch, Stomping Tantrum, and Rock Slide. So I do think that Choice Banded Groudon is one of the strong sets of Groudon because of the fact that it makes up for the lack of damage output from whether you had Primal Groudon, where those Precipice Blades were really threatening. I think Choice Banded does really make Groudon a potential threat, and since I don't plan on Dynamaxing Groudon most of the time, when I'm usually Dynamaxing Shiftry as the plan, I think having Choice Band allows my Groudon to do massive amount of damage, especially since I have Life Orb on the Shiftry. The Choice Band on Groudon just made a lot of sense to me, and again, I don't really plan on Dynamaxing Groudon too much. Now, the reason I'm not a big fan of Groudon, as I usually mention a lot, is just because I think regular Groudon's really underwhelming according to its Primal Groudon. Takes a lot of damage from Water Spout even in the Sun. I think that its Precipice Blades just don't do too much. No stab fire coverage is also pretty big, but it does have some benefits in the fact that it's a pure ground type, so you don't overlap the typings with like Torkoal, and then you usually want to have Charizard, for instance, or Incineroar on usually your Sun team. So overall, I think having the pure ground typing is a benefit, and as well as just having the Sun ability, or the ability to set up Sun in order to like really power up your Charizard and Venusaur, which I think are really the carriers of Groudon teams mainly. So I do think that's a benefit, and in this case, yeah, it's supposed to do a lot of damage as well as set up the sun for my Shiftry and Charizard. With the moveset of Precipice Blades, Fire Punch, Stomping Tantrum, Rock Slide. Precipice Blades, of course, is the powerful ground type coverage move, but of course, it is a double-edged sword because it can miss a lot of times, and I have a lot of experience missing Precipice Blades, so yeah, it is a risky move, but a really rewarding move if you are able to land it. Fire Punch, of course, for the sun boost, and I am running a choice band set, so I can run fire coverage on this team. Stomping Tantrum to get around wide guards, and if I absolutely have to hit the ground type move, I think Stomping Tantrum is really nice. And then Rock Slide for the coverage against Rotom Heat and other flying types, which is just really solid here. And then the EV spread, I end up going with max attack, max speed with 4 HP. The reason is, in order to outspeed the Zacians and Calyrexes, you have to have Jolly Nature. So that is what I did, and it's really nice. With the choice band Groudon, you actually have a chance to OHKO, Incineroar through Intimidate, which is really nice, and you just dish out a lot of damage overall, and that's what this Groudon is meant to do. Next Pokemon we got is the Charizard-Gmax form with the Choice Scarf and Solar Power for the ability with Heat Wave, Ancient Power, Air Slash, and Blast Burn. Man, Charizard is absolutely a big threat. Like, Wildfire is just absolutely insane. Solar Power, usually with Life Orb, would absolutely do so much damage, but the fact is Charizard can still do a massive amount of damage just with the solar power boost in itself. And yeah, I ended up adding the Charizard because I knew I was going to use Dynamax Shiftry, and usually Shiftry would like to go for either Airstreams or Max Darknesses, and I really wanted something powerful with a Max Darkness combination. And I thought, you know, I wanted something fast, right? Because I do have speed control as well. And I felt like Charizard just made a lot of sense. The fire coverage to take advantage of the sun, and would be a really nice pair with Shiftry because Shiftry would outspeed with the Chlorophyll, be able to go for the Max Darkness, and then the Choice Scarf Charizard would be able to get some surprise outspeeds like Zacians and Calyrexes, and then fire off the Heat Wave in the sun. And with that special defense boost in mind, it does a ton of damage. So that was the goal with this team, ending up using the Choice Scarf. It allows you to outspeed Zacians and the Calyrex Shadow Riders, which I think is pretty nice, and the fact that you have Shiftry and Chlorophyll usually means you could like even do like Icy Winds into Heat Waves and get like surprise knockouts on Eliki, for instance. It's just really nice to have. So we have the Solar Power Charizard, Heat Wave, Air Slash, Ancient Power, and Blast Burn. I went with Heat Wave because you do want that spread powerful move, especially with the Max Darkness combination in the sun. You have Air Slash in order to just like hit if you need a flying coverage. Ancient Power for the opposing Charizards is actually really nice because you could Ancient Power surprise a opposing Max Charizard in the sun, and oh boy, that is not pretty for them. And then Blast Burn is really nice. This is for, you know, if I think Charizard, they're going to target it, I can get one really powerful Blast Burn off and potentially just take a knockout with me. It's also really nice for Wildfire because sometimes I do Dynamax the Charizard if I really have to. And Blast Burn in the sun just does so much damage. And then the EV spread's very simple. It's just a 4 HP set with 252 special attack and 252 speed with a modest nature. And it's just really nice because of the fact that with modest nature and max speed on the Charizard, you already outspeed the Calyrex Shadow Riders and the Zacians with that Choice Scarf boost. So I felt like just maxing its special attack because this team is supposed to be really offensive, and that is the goal here with this Charizard. Just follow up with Shiftry, Max Darkness under Sun, into Heat Waves, into Blast Burns, just do so much damage overall, and it's just really nice. And I think Choice Scarf Charizard has a lot of potential, really. It does a lot, and you don't have to use your max form, and you have your max as a backup if you really need it, and it's just really solid for like getting rid of some really pesky Pokemon like, again, the Calyrex and Zacians. It's just outspeeding, get a surprise off, does a ton of damage. Next Pokemon we have is the Expert Belt Technician Hitmontop with Close Combat, Triple Axle, Sucker Punch, and Detect. Now this Hitmontop set is definitely out of the ordinary, and the main reason I decided to go with this Hitmontop set, it was inspiration from Lord Envy, who's a singles content creator, and I absolutely love his wacky sets, and he featured a recent team using Technician Hitmontop, and I really did get some inspiration from that. And I didn't have it on this team originally, but when I needed something to help deal with landers, usually without maxing the Pokemon, I felt like I was in a bit of a tough spot. So I ended up choosing Hitmontop here. And the reason I chose Hitmontop is because I felt like the coverage was really nice. I felt like the close combat really does help against maybe like some Urshifus, for instance, as well as the Triple Axle to help with the big Landorus variant and other flying types, which I felt like were pretty annoying. So I felt like, you know what, this Technician Hitmontop set could definitely work on this team. So I ended up going with the Expert Belt. I had Life Orb on the Shiftry already, and I had Choice Banded on the Groudon, so I had to make do basically with the Expert Belt to boost up the Hitmontop for triple axle to get the maximum chance of just OHKOing land experience, having that Technician ability instead of Intimidate, which was definitely a little bit of a surprise, but I think it's definitely worth it on this team. I think triple axle is usually actually the move that I would click with Hitmontop the most when I brought it. So yeah, having that big powerful triple axle, getting every single boost on the triple axle is just really nice. Close combat, triple axle, sucker punch, and detect. Now close combat is really nice, of course, for the coverage. The fighting move, the most powerful move that Hitmontop can use, is really nice. Triple axle, of course, for the flying types, especially that Landis variant, which is the most difficult Pokemon for me to handle. Now, I know there are definitely a lot of moves that I think I could consider on the Hitmontop, and I did consider Sucker Punch was one of them, Fake Out was one of them. I also had considerations for Feint potentially, as well as Helping Hand for the extra offensive power, but I just ended up going Sucker Punch overall because I felt like, you know, I could pick up some weakened Pokemon, and it might matter for some double ups if Hitmontop is slower. So that is the reason I had Sucker Punch. Definitely could be changed though. I do think the Hitmontop set could definitely be adjusted, and there are so many viable moves that Hitmontop can use. So overall, I think it just comes down to experimentation at the end of the day, as I think they're all useful in their own situations. Now, the EV spread, I ended up going with a max attack Hitmontop for the maximum chance for triple axle to usually OHKO a Landis variant with triple axle, even through Dynamax. I have the, even with the Intimidate, I have the 188 speed. This allows me to outspeed Landis variant after an Intimidate, which I think is really useful. And then I just ended up dumping the rest into a little bit of HP and some bulk. Now, overall, this Hitmontop set is a really fun set. I think there are definitely better teams this Hitmontop can fit on, but I think it just did the job I needed to do. The triple axle double ups with like Airstream and a triple axle in order to pick up the knockout on Dynamax Landis variants, I think was very valuable to the team. And I really do think Hitmontop's a really cool Pokemon. It was just really fun to use it again because you don't really see it too much. And it was really fun to try out something other than the standard Intimidate Fake Out set that I would typically use on a VGC team. So next we got Life Orb Shiftry with the Chlorophyll ability with Leaf Storm, Dark Pulse, Icy Wind, Hurricane. It took a few series in order to get Shiftry to work, but I think I finally found some sets that made it viable. With Life Orb, of course, because of the hyper offensive team nature that I'm running, just makes a lot of sense because Shiftry doesn't have the best special attack in the world, so I might as well just take full advantage and dish out as much damage as I can. And Chlorophyll, of course, to outspeed in the sun. This allows me to outspeed a lot of common Pokemon, especially Regieleki, which is really nice. And this Pokemon, really cool. It gets a lot of good moves. Leaf Storm, Dark Pulse, Icy Wind, and Hurricane is what I ended up going for. Now, I didn't know initially that it got Air Slash, and I ended up just going with Hurricane because I knew it got Hurricane, but I actually didn't know it got Air Slash until after I made the team. But overall, I think Hurricane I might have still kept actually anyway, just for the fact that having that little bit of extra power could make a difference with the Life Orb double up. So I don't know. I think I could see myself Air Slashing outside of Dynamax too, but I feel like I wouldn't be clicking that much anyway. I don't think I ever really want to click Hurricane while testing the team in general, so not exactly too sure. Leaf Storm, of course, for the powerful grass coverage, the Dark Pulse in order to follow for the max darkness and the best dark type coverage that I got. Icy Wind for speed control if I don't have to Dynamax. That's really funny because I can go for max hailstones against Landis, which I actually was able to pull off, which was really funny. And of course, Hurricane for the Airstream boost. It gets a lot of decent coverage. I also really wanted Heat Wave to reset the sun potentially, but of course I could only really fit as many moves, and it gets a lot of cool moves. Fake Out as well. This Pokemon's got a really good moveset. It's just its stats aren't the most amazing, but in order to accomplish what I needed to do, it had good enough stats. And the EV spread was very simple. Timid with a max speed, max special attack, and 4 HP. The reason just for max is because of course Shiftry doesn't have the best special attack in the world, and its speed ties with Venusaur, so in order to have a chance to even speed type Venusaur, I do have to go with the max speed. This also allows me to outspeed Regieleki, so I'm completely fine with it. And then of course it doesn't have the best defenses in the world, so there's no point of investing into it, so I might as well just put the max in the special attack, where this is a hyper offensive team, and the fact is it doesn't have the best special attack in the world. Just dump the rest in the special attack and then 4 in HP remaining. And overall, Shiftry was actually pretty fun to use on a team. It definitely did better than I expected, and I was able to really get some really strong double ups with Shiftry, with Choice Banded Groudon, with the Icy Wind, there were max Airstream coverage, and then of course with the Charizard max Darkness coverage into a Solar Power Scarf attack was really strong for some follow-ups. So next Pokemon we have is the Choice Specs Tapu Koko with Electric Search for the ability with Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam, Electro Web, and Volt Switch. Now, I ended up wanting something to follow up with the Shiftry Max Darkness combination that was fast. And I decided, you know what, why not try out Tapu Koko, mainly because of the fairy coverage, because I felt like I was too weak on switching into Dark Urshifu's attack. So I felt like, you know what, why not just give Tapu Koko a little bit of a chance right here. So that is the reason why I wanted something that was immune to like close combat as well as the Wicked Blow. I felt like having that fairy coverage just provided while having the strong electric coverage that was pretty fast. And that's why I have Tapu Koko with just choice specs for the maximum damage output with Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam, Electro Web, and Volt Switch. Now, the EV spread is very simple with a max speed, max special attack, and 4 HP. Just a really simple Tapu Koko overall with a Timid Nature. I'm not sure if this Pokemon's really the best on this team. I don't really plan on switching much anyway. And I felt like if I have a Shiftry that's faster than Regieleki regardless, like I could just go Regieleki and it would probably accomplish very much of the same thing. Because I don't really switch with the team. That's the thing. I don't switch with the team at all. I just go for a really strong damage output right out the bat. Like it's rare that I would switch with this team. I just have to usually get the lead right and dish out as much damage as possible. Maybe I'll switch with Men's, but otherwise I really don't switch that much, which is why I think maybe Regieleki would just be better anyway, just because of the faster speed, which is really nice to have. Yet I'm not too sure, because Specs Thunderbolt will do a lot of damage from Regieleki and already outspeeds Zacian and Calyx Shadow Rider naturally. So I'm not sure. I think Tapu Koko is definitely the oddball on this team and definitely the member I brought least, but it's not a bad Pokemon to have it in handy a few times during my practice games. But overall, wasn't really the best mon I feel like on this team overall, but still, you know, it's just a strong Pokemon. It's really fun, I think, especially to use an offensive Tapu Koko, which I haven't really used in a long time. And you know what? It was fun for what it was worth. So final Pokemon is the Assault Vest Salamence with Intimidate for the ability with Draco Meteor, Air Slash, Stone Edge, and Flamethrower. Now, I like the Assault Vest item. I think Assault Vest Salamence has a lot of potential. It just allows Salamence to be really bulky, and I felt like there weren't really many items I really wanted for Salamence regardless. So just having it being bulky while dishing out a lot of damage I felt like was pretty good in general, and allowed me to run 4 coverage moves, which I really did like. Intimidate for the ability, of course, great ability specifically for Groudon and Landis, which were probably the biggest troublesome members to deal with on my team. Draco Meteor, Air Slash, Stone Edge, and Flamethrower. I like Draco Meteor for the max dragon output. Draco Meteor also hits pretty hard with the max darkness follow-up from Shiftry. The Air Slash for the max airstream, and I like Air Slash on Salamence over Hurricane because I am running a Sun team after all. Stone Edge is for the Charizard matchup, and Flamethrower is just if I had to reset the Sun, which is pretty nice. So I could set up the Sun with max flare, and then Shiftry will be able to outspeed or have the solar power with Charizard. It's just really nice to have there. And then the EV spread is very simple. I went with 4 HP, I went with max special attack, and I went with max speed. I think I could have probably just went 4 into attack now that I look back at it overall. And, you know, just for that extra bit of Stone Edge damage, because this isn't supposed to be like that bulky of immense. It's just supposed to be damage dealer immense while having a switch into like Landispharians and Groudons, which is really nice. But overall, the damage output, of course, the max speed in order to outspeed Jolly Landispharians, of course, and Urshifus and any other Pokemon that I really need to outspeed. The max special attack for the max damage output, and you know, just the remaining was left over. So overall, Salamence was able to do a nice role to the team. I really did like Salamence. I think Salamence is a fantastic Pokemon that's undervalued on a lot of different teams, and I think this Pokemon having a lot of different roles, specifically decent against a lot of Sun teams with its typing, and its Intimidate's really nice. Being a switch into Groudons is really good. And yeah, I think it has a fantastic role right here as an Intimidate mon. So how to use the team and what are the common leads with it? Well, it mainly just dishes out damage. It's a really hyper offensive team, and you just try to dish out as much damage as possible and pick up quick knockouts. Shiftry is really great for it because of max airstream and Icy Wind for speed control in order to help out Groudon throw out big powerful choice banded Precipice Blades. The Charizard to throw out really powerful solar power fire type attacks. And of course, Tapu Koko and Salamence are able to do a lot of damage because of the max darkness as well. So Shiftry is mainly a go-to to help support those really powerful attackers, and does a decent amount of damage on its own with the Life Orb and the max moves. So it's really nice to have here. Mainly, a lot of the ways you're going to set up with this team is usually with Shiftry and going for the Dynamax moves and going for really powerful attacks afterward. But sometimes you could go for some other stuff like Salamence, Dynamax, and Hitmontop follow-ups is really cool. And then set up for a Sun mode in the back. You don't always have to lead with Sun, but usually you do want to get up the sun as quick as possible so Shiftry can do its thing, especially with Charizard. There are a lot of potential leads with the team. Overall, I'd say the main ones I usually go for are Shiftry plus Groudon, of course. In order to set up the sun immediately, you're able to go for Icy Winds, Airstreams, and then big powerful Precipice Blades off of Groudon. I think is a really strong lead option. I also really do like Groudon plus Charizard, just dishes out a lot of damage. Charizard, they might not see the choice scarf coming, and then Heat Wave and then Blast Burn can do a lot of damage, especially if the opponent thinks that you're gonna max the Charizard. Oh boy, it can do a lot, and I mean a lot of Blast Burn damage to their Dynamax Pokemon. And they wasted their Dynamax Mon on a Charizard while you still have a Max Mon potentially in the back, and that is just really strong. Another common lead I'd say is Shiftry plus Charizard, kind of like similar to the Venusaur plus the Charizard leads, except this time you have a Mind Game, of course, with switching Groudon into one slot and then following up with a target into another. This is a pretty effective lead because it plays Mind Games right off the bat with your opponent, and you can see what they lead in order to prep for your plan. And then I'd say other common leads involve Salamence. Usually Salamence with the Intimidate usually is a pretty nice lead in order to like outspeed Landis variants for setups. I really do like Salamence plus Hitmontop, probably is one of the most common leads. I'd say it's really strong with the Airstream triple axle doubles up in the Landis variants, which usually OHKO most of them through Dynamax, which is fantastic. Even through Intimidate is just super solid. And then of course, like, I'd lead Salamence with any of the others. Shiftry is pretty nice because you get the speed control potentially with the Intimidate, and then you could just switch into Groudon. You could also do it with a Charizard. Mind Game with Salamence is not actually terrible, and then Salamence plus Groudon because of the fact that you set up Sun for the Shiftry, and you get the Intimidate off immediately, and then you can prep for those in the back usually. And that is how the Sun Shiftry team was formed. If you did enjoy this episode, make sure you do leave a like down below, leave a comment down below, as it really does help out. And be sure to try out the team if you haven't already, and check out the episodes where this team was used. We had some crazy episodes with this team. Make sure you try it out for yourself though before the code expires in 2 weeks. There's a paste bin available in the description, however. And that is going to be it for me. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day, people, and until we battle again, I'll catch you all later.